A single dad rents a room to a college girl, unaware she's a millionaire's daughter. Tom Parker never imagined he'd be renting out his daughter's old bedroom to a stranger. But when medical bills started piling up after his wife's passing, and his construction job barely covered the mortgage, he had no choice. His hands trembled as he posted the ad online: small room for rent. Quiet neighborhood. $400 a month. He sat at the kitchen table that night, staring at his daughter Emma's school photo on the fridge, hoping he was making the right decision. Little did he know, the young woman who would answer that ad was about to change everything. Sarah Mitchell stood outside the modest two-story house on Maple Street, her designer purse hidden in her backpack. She'd seen dozens of luxury apartments that week, but something about this listing felt different. Maybe it was the honest description, or the price that seemed almost too low. She knocked on the door, and when it opened, she saw a tired man with kind eyes and paint-stained hands. Tom looked at the young college student and saw someone who reminded him of his own daughter. "Come in," he said warmly. "Let me show you around." Before we continue this touching story, if you enjoy heartwarming tales of kindness and unexpected connections, please subscribe to Heartfelt Moments and hit that like button. Drop a comment below telling us about a time someone's kindness changed your day. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories. Now, let's get back to Tom and Sarah. Sarah walked through the small but spotlessly clean house. Everything was worn but cared for. The furniture was old but polished. The walls needed paint, but family photos hung everywhere, telling stories of happier times. Tom showed her the bedroom, apologizing for how small it was. "My daughter Emma used to stay here when she visited from college," he explained, his voice catching slightly. "She's doing her medical residency in Boston now. Doesn't get home much." Sarah noticed how his face lit up when he talked about Emma, the same way her own father's face did when he spoke about her, back before their relationship fell apart. "It's perfect," Sarah said softly. And she meant it. She was tired of the emptiness of luxury, tired of people who only saw her last name and bank account. Her father, Richard Mitchell, owned half the commercial real estate in the state, but he'd never understood her. When she'd insisted on attending state university instead of an Ivy League school, when she'd wanted to study social work instead of business, he'd called her foolish. They hadn't spoken in months. This little room, in this humble house, with this genuine man, felt more like home than her father's mansion ever had. Tom didn't ask for references or run a credit check. He trusted his gut, the same instinct that had kept him safe on construction sites for 20 years. Sarah moved in the next day with just 2 suitcases. She paid her rent in cash, always on time, always with a grateful smile. But she did something Tom never expected. She started helping around the house without being asked. One Saturday morning, Tom woke to find Sarah repainting the living room. "The paint was on sale at the hardware store," she said with a shrug. "I thought it might brighten things up." The walls transformed from dingy beige to a warm, welcoming cream. Tom's eyes misted over. He couldn't remember the last time someone had done something kind for him without expecting anything in return. Sarah started cooking dinner several nights a week, always making extra. "I'm practicing recipes for a class," she'd say, though Tom suspected that wasn't quite true. They'd sit at the kitchen table together, sharing stories. Tom talked about Emma, about his late wife Maria, about the dreams they'd had for their family. Sarah listened with genuine interest, never mentioning her own family, never revealing the truth about who she was. Winter came hard that year. Tom's truck broke down, and the repair cost would wipe out his savings. He tried to hide his worry, but Sarah noticed how he'd skip lunch, how he'd turn the heat down at night to save money. One morning, Tom found an envelope on the kitchen counter with $2,000 in cash and a note: "For the truck. Pay me back whenever you can. S." He knocked on her door, overwhelmed. "Sarah, I can't accept this. It's too much. You gave me a home when I needed one," she said simply. "Let me help." Tom took the money with tears in his eyes, promising to pay her back. He had no idea that $2,000 was what Sarah used to spend on a single shopping trip, back in her old life. Months passed. Their unlikely friendship deepened. Tom helped Sarah study for her exams. Sarah helped Tom finally organize years of paperwork. They watched movies together on his ancient television. They raked leaves and shoveled snow side by side. It was the family neither of them had anymore. Then one evening, Emma came home for a surprise visit. She was exhausted from her residency, and Tom wanted everything perfect. Sarah helped him prepare Emma's favorite meal. During dinner, Emma mentioned a patient at the hospital, a wealthy businessman who'd had a heart attack. Richard Mitchell, Emma said. He kept asking for his daughter Sarah, but apparently they haven't spoken in over a year. Sarah's fork clattered onto her plate. Tom looked at her, understanding dawning in his eyes. Sarah Mitchell, he asked quietly. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. The secret she'd kept for 8 months was finally out. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, Sarah whispered. I just wanted someone to see me for who I am, not what I have. Tom reached across the table and squeezed her hand. I've always seen exactly who you are, he said. You're kind, hardworking, and caring. That's what matters. The next day, Tom drove Sarah to the hospital. She was terrified, but he stayed by her side. When Richard Mitchell saw his daughter walk through the door, his heart monitor beeped faster. Sarah, he breathed. I've been such a fool. They reconciled that day, with Tom waiting respectfully in the hallway, giving them space to heal. Months later, Richard Mitchell insisted on repaying Tom for taking care of his daughter. But Tom refused any money. Your daughter gave me something more valuable, he said. She gave me hope again. She reminded me that good people still exist. Instead, Richard helped Tom start his own construction company, not as charity, but as a partnership. He'd seen the quality of Tom's character, the same kindness his daughter had found. Today, Tom's company is thriving. Emma finished her residency and opened a community clinic. And Sarah graduated top of her class in social work, now helping families just like Tom's. But every Sunday, they all gather at that little house on Maple Street, around that same kitchen table, sharing a meal and remembering that kindness costs nothing but means everything. The story of Tom and Sarah reminds us that we never know who might need kindness, or who might be the answer to our prayers. When we open our hearts and homes to others, we open ourselves to unexpected blessings. Sometimes the people we help end up helping us more than we could ever imagine.